So, anyways, let's get started. Welcome to Women's World of Wellness. And this is one of our live interviews with our wellness expert that I keep calling our soulful healer because that's what you are to me.
Thank you.
I've seen you and had some amazing sessions with you, and that's why I'm so excited to have you as a part of this group. I know you bring something that really nobody else is going to be able to bring. So I would like to
Mhm.
introduce Ingrid, one of our wellness experts. So Ingrid, go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about what you do.
Well, hi. Well, what don't I do? Where do I start? I'm Kamala Ingrid, known as and I'm a holistic yogi, which is what I kind of started with many years ago. I want to say since 2021, I started the whole holistic world of yoga. It's where I dove in, and over the course of time, now 2 decades in, I just wrapped up with astrology. So, so
You wrapped
but
up,
yeah,
did you say?
wrapped up with my first level of astrology. So yeah,
Ooh, I knew you were working hard on that.
oh yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, so I'll start from the beginning. I'll go back when as a child, I started yoga at 11,
Wow.
and a lot. It was something that really I started when I had seizures as a child. So basically, it kind of I was always different than the every person, and I found myself in a place where I wanted to heal because I'm not one to deal with those doctor visits, those pills. I hated that as a child. And over the course of time, I found myself doing a lot of things that we talk about the journaling, we talk about, looking at these, going into the root cause at a very young age without therapy. I did my own therapy. I figured it out as I got older. And over a course of time, I ended up diving deeper into the whole yoga system, which my dad introduced it to me through a friend, someone that he met when he was working at the Columbia University as a janitor there as a part-time. He met this gentleman that was teaching yoga there. And I was being under my father's care at that time because there was no school. So he had to take care of me. And he had a little, I guess you want to call it a little room to the side. So I would stay there when he was working. And I would just sit there and read. And then one day he picked me up. He just took me to the place where this gentleman talked about yoga, enlightened me about it. And I remember my first book was Richard Litterman back in the 1970s, all about the yoga, what it was about. I started reading it, and that led me into the curiosity of what this did. I got into the poses. From there, I went into the breath work. And it was a breath that actually enlightened me to find the pattern of what worked with me on how to slow down what, whenever I had an episode. And that was the beginning of everything. By the age of, I want to say 16, I had my last, but I didn't know that. That was my last one. And then later I got married. Had my daughter at 25. In that process, this came back, and I remember, is this gonna come back? Because
Mhm.
you don't know. Your body's changing, and I had already started living a life that was like more of that freedom. So I was like, oh, what happens if it comes back? And I was told I had to go cesarean, and I was like, nah, I kind of want to do this, naturally.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like I couldn't, but the doctors were like, oh, but if you had that as a pattern, you don't want to take any chances. And I said, you know what, I'm going to take a chance. And you do know that the chances, if anything was to happen, unfortunately, my daughter would have been the one to have the repercussion.
Mhm.
But something's like, no, 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 no. I got to prove that this is done and that chapter's over. I ended up having her at the birthing center in Hollywood, where you don't go to an emergent, everything's done there in that one room. So I said, okay, this is as close as I can get to having that, doctor and everybody there. And lo and behold, I got to say, it was the most amazing, not only having this baby come to life in front of me, but at the same time to know that that part of my life was done and over,
Mhm.
and that I was able to heal myself. And what I discovered in those early years to that time And it comes back to what we are learning now. And today, everyone's really knowing about it. Back then, it was very much of a taboo for me to talk this way and
Right.
even talk about it. Even yoga was taboo. I want to say, I think it became something of the masses when Madonna became interested in it and brought it to light. But for the most part, it was considered a cult and something weird and woo woo, and people didn't care for it. So it's like it was hard for me to even talk like this.
Mm-hmm.
But I realized it was a lot of patterns that you had to go into. So it was something that led me on. I went to school, got in my graphic design, majored in that. And lo and behold, when I was moved into my house, already married, I was taking yoga. And that's where my yoga teacher at the time was like, you should teach. You should teach. And I was like, he would leave me all the substituting. He would actually have me as a substitute. And it was like, it took like, he brought about 8 women to convince me to teach and that they would come with me to the certification. And when I said finally, okay, okay, I'll get certified, that was the beginning of everything because it wasn't long before I found myself really letting go of what I liked, the graphic design and moving into this world. And
I can't even imagine you doing graphic design.
oh, I do most of my art. It's like,
Well,
I mean,
have
I'm
you
an
as
artist.
a career?
I
Yeah.
am, yeah, no, but I'm an artist and that's another passion I have. I do art a lot and I created even all kinds of art. And my daughter, um, to this day now, she's an artist and she has sold stuff in galleries and has some in her at a resort. So
Mhm.
she's taken it as a career, which is beautiful. But yeah, I've got jewelry to you name it, anything you want, I'll
Yeah.
make it. So that's another side thing. I've kind of moved on more in the art of the body, mind. So
Thank goodness for the rest of us.
thank you. Thank you.
So you became a yoga instructor, and I know
Yeah.
you're certified yogi, but that you have so much more. When did
Well,
everything
yeah.
really start to come together?
Well, over the course of time, I started diving into the yoga of all lineages, like the like really learning when I got into the once I got teaching, I started with Shivananda, where Shivananda was like it's considered it's not like hatha, it's another level. It's
Mm-hmm.
not beginner either. Hatha is more of a beginner,
Mm-hmm.
but it became, and I learned about the chakra system at a deeper level with them because even though I had already tapped into the chakra with them Shivananda, they start from the crown all the way down to the root. So that means you start with inversions first and you
Mm-hmm.
work your way down to the root chakras, whereas most of the other lineages, like Ashtanga, Hatha, Iyengar, they all work from the root up
Okay.
in the poses. For those that are yogis, they will understand that has to do with the pattern of how we take you, opening each and other and aligning each and other with the poses. But Shivananda was very different and very spiritual, almost like taking um what do you call it? Why am I brain farting right now? The Kundalini.
Oh,
Kundalini
yeah.
is a very strict one too. That's very intense, and you go through the month. There's a lot of kriyas that are their part, but Shivananda is just as much intense. So I started with that, and then I got into the Iyengar. Then I dove into the Ashtanga, and I really love the Ashtanga. But over time, I realized as I went through a period of, I remember observing a lot and also taking other teachers' classes. And I learned through observation as being a student whenever I went to a course or seminars, events, and things like that. I became like very observant, becoming more of like the art of learning what I saw in the environment. And not everything worked applied to everybody,
Mm-hmm.
even though there were different beautiful lineages out there of learning, but it was all about going back, and for me it was always going back to the root.
Mm-hmm.
And each one had that ability to do that. It's like, but what spoke? So for me, as I became a teacher, And I specialize in smaller groups because I really wanted to teach it in a quality. And much like the essence when you learn something, or like ballet, you know, you learn the root of it, you learned where it comes from, you learn you learn the essence of it, and from there you spawn out to different styles, right? It's the same thing with yoga. You learn the essence of where it comes from, and then you see now there's so many multiverse of different styles of yoga, but you go back to the root. So for me, it was that, and keeping that was very essential for me. And then from there, helping each person find their essence through the art of that um, was my specialty. And then from there, I got into athletes over the years, which taught me how to work through the physical and bring them into the spiritual, and then yet at the same time hone their ability to dive deeper with themselves. That it helped them, even I helped them with a lot of them that were going through transitioning from that particular sport, that they could not longer do it anymore, especially with one of them in particular. I remember he had a hard time transitioning because it was like, this was my life. And
Yeah.
having it to be left, it was like, okay. And taking the essence of what you learn in yoga is much deeper. It's just not physical, it's all about the soul.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, wow, if I only dove into this before. And it helped him a lot because it brought him into a space of really going deeper. What can I take from here, from what I learned in this? And he applied it off the mat.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's teaching other athletes, much like, but in the behind the scenes. So it's like here he something that he didn't think he was going to do is ended up becoming part of him without having to be in the spotlight. He's behind the scene now, but it still fulfills his soul.
Right.
You know,
Right.
so but it came back down to the essence of, I tend to mix a lot of my yoga practices with coaching. I use the breath to guide you in when there's a lot of people, when there's trauma, um, and going back into the vagus nerve, how to
Mhm.
calm them down. And then I do a lot of energy work too, as well. So I'll take them back in through a meditation that will guide them into a space. And then a lot of them transcend into something that comes up for them at the moment. And then whatever is coming up is how I guide the session for them. So it's very unique for every person. Very unique. So I really don't know how to say what I do, but I tap the Akashic a lot. And so I'm a mosh posh of a lot of things.
You are. So so those are the things that you do for other people. And I've had many experiences with you, and I tell everybody about you. I think you're amazing.
Thank you.
What is your experience through your own healing process? What brought you into that space of healing and trauma? That did that come from somewhere of your own place?
Yeah, as a child, I knew I was very different. And as I said, having those episodes at a very young age and being able to stop them helped me a lot to see a pattern. And when I started seeing the pattern, I became very aware. And the medication that was given to me, I took him off slowly, gave myself like a 3-month period of time before I would see another, like, document what went on.
Mm-hmm.
And when I saw certain things that were in my benefit, then I would remove another, a small dosage, nothing big, drastic to make the body go. Um, but the reason why I had that last episode at 16 was because, and my parents found out what I was doing, was because I left the pills by accident at home, and each pill was about 1,000 milligrams, very strong. I had
Mm-hmm.
two left out of the six that I had weaned down to two, and I would remove a half from a pill. I would take half and then wean it out for 3 months period, let the body kind of adjust, and then see how I would feel and whatnot. Um, but it helped a lot. It allowed me to find my essence of, like, understanding and going within what felt good for my body, what felt off, what emotions did I trigger what was happening at home or at school, what was causing me to be off balance. And so I knew I had to go in a lot. And at 15, I started doing astral traveling. And I didn't really say much to my parents at the time because I didn't know how to communicate with them. And later, over the years, as I got older, is when I kind of realized I was able to talk. And little did I know, and my father kind of understands this stuff, but as I talked later in my Akashic, I realized he owns these gifts. These are gifts that are passed down
Mm-hmm.
from both lineages. But I remember doing a lot of that, and I just felt so off from my friends. I didn't know how to connect with them because it's like I really didn't seem to have the same vibration in this plane. And so I always felt like I never wanted to be here. And every time
Okay.
I woke up in the morning, I was like, same old
Um,
routine, same old people, lower vibration, here we go. And that was my life for a pretty long time. I want to say
so I don't want to interrupt you, but I do want to get clarification for anybody listening on what astro traveling is.
astral traveling, I do serve, and I don't know if a lot of people are going to feel a little off and weird about what I'm saying, but it's about
Not
me.
me.
I am a light worker. I do work a lot. When there's things happening, I find myself in holding space.
Mhm.
One of the things that happened recently, I hold space. I wake up the next morning exhausted.
Yeah.
But I hold space, especially try to keep as much as I can to protect the ones that I love and keep everybody in as much where everything could be not so chaotic, and with this
Mm-hmm.
hurricane we had recently, that was one
Yeah.
of them. Um, I held a lot of space. I did feel a lot of people were in prayer mode, were in holding a lot of space for us in Florida. So I think it helped for sure. It helped a lot. But that's what I did. And as a child, I used to just I've I've been self-taught in many ways in many things, but I've also carried this gift for many lifetimes. It's part of me. It's something I have been, and it's been in me from one life to another, as a shaman, as a seer, as a medicine woman, as you name it. Everything in my life has led to that. And it goes even in my astrology, you can read it. It comes in, it shows it. There's many ways, that it comes back to me.
Mhm.
Um, and I think the experiences one lives in life when we sign to come here are just for us to remember. To go through those lessons are mainly lessons that we probably did not close off in a past life or many lives or generations. So what we come here is to really come into terms to be able to close that
Mhm.
and heal that generation moving forward.
Mhm.
You understand, for 7 generations forward. Sometimes you find yourself in situations where you ever remember and say, oh, this feels familiar. I don't like this. Or it feels like, even though you might not have lived that trauma, but it feels like, oh, I've had clients where they say, oh, no, I won't go upside down because I feel like something's going to happen to my neck. And
Oh,
nothing in this lifetime has happened to their neck.
okay.
In their past life, they could have been decapitated. It could have been whatever it was, something that
Yeah.
happened that there. And so there's that fear that stays in. Hence now there's different ways of coming through that. Hypnosis is one of them. The way I do the the activation where I jump into the inner child, healing you, going, moving you forward into the higher self, and then bringing you into and bringing them to healed, can also release a lot of that.
Mhm.
Um, Plant medicine for some,
Mhm.
if they're guided very well with some, shaman or someone that can guide them through that. Some of them now are therapists doing this work, so they
Yeah.
can guide you through releasing a lot of those karmic traumas or that are passed down sometimes from generation, and sometimes it's passed down from our womb, from our parents, our mother. We can be that perfect seed, and the moment your mother is going through some kind of turbulence in those 9 months, you're going to feel it.
Mhm.
And then before you know it, you wonder why you're experiencing the similar, but it's not yours. It's your mother's. So you have to learn to cut that off.
Right.
You know, and so these are things that we don't realize, but when you make it that awareness, or you come into awareness, which a lot of the younger generation is becoming more aware of this, it's becoming easier for them because they're our next, generation to make a difference. So it's like they're awakening to this thing, whereas my parents' generation, they just kind of lived in that society of survival.
Yeah.
So when you live in survival, you're repeating the pattern. You now have children and you're passing the same patterns to your kids, and your kids end up finding themselves in the same situation or attracting themselves to the same story that doesn't belong to them anymore.
Right.
So it's about bringing awareness to that and releasing those stories so we can move into that new earth where it's lighter, open,
I
and
find
healed.
that's happening with young, early 20 somethings, the girls, and they are like freaked out by it. And I just had a client on Sunday who was, expressing all these things. And she is very clearly at the beginning of her awakening. And I always, because that's always my space, I'm always like, I'm your first step. Because I help, help them get comfortable and understand. And then I provide tools and resources. And when they're ready, because you're not the first step.
No,
You're,
I'm when you're ready.
yeah, yeah.
I
So
used
I'm
to be the
50 when
first
you
stop,
are.
but
Yeah.
I stopped that because it's draining. It's a lot of work. I said, you know what? When they're ready, they will be here. And
Yeah.
I will open the doors. I don't want to deal with the beginners anymore. It's like, because I feel like there's a lot of that going on for
There is
me.
a lot.
The and it's one of those things where I feel now I can, you know, really do the work, because I'm at a point where now I can show you so many things. I have a few that are working through with me, and they're like, okay, can you sign me up? I'm ready. Go for it. Because
Yes.
when there's resistance, it just takes a lot of energy out of me, and I just, as much as I want to help you, it's just too draining for me, and I'm not willing to do that anymore. I was like, you know what? I gotta conserve because it's a lot.
Well, and you go deep, and when people are at the very beginning, they are not ready at all to
No,
tap into where you bring them. So that's where I like having that, like the tools and the resources, because we talk about healing, and I talk a lot about it. And when they're like ready to go that deep, because it's not always easy, it's not always fun, it can take time. You always feel amazing and great, and it's so purposeful. But I definitely see how you can't be on both sides because you're too far into it. That the stuff up here, when they're first getting in, you're like, okay, okay, get past that part and come see me when you're ready. We have a question for you though. Desiree has a question. She's asking if you have any advice, recommendations to people on how they may start to tap into their soulful self, energy/light worker.
I love it. Okay, that's a great question. A lot of people want to find out the best way to do it is actually go into your breathing. The breathing is key. The breath is what actually helped me heal myself. It's the breath that helped me control and go inward. And the one of the things and YouTube now is, like, I call it YouTube University. There's so many different meditations out there, whatever
Mhm.
resonates with you at the beginning. Um, it, if you're not willing to seek a teacher or don't know where to go, you have so much out there now, knowledge, that you can just go into that space of listening to music and just a deep, slow inhale, exhale to calm your central nervous system back down. And then just go in and listen. Listen. It's about listening to your soul. It's going back into, what does my soul desire? Asking that question and learning to take time daily to really go in at least 5 minutes a day, no different like brushing your teeth, go taking a shower, making a practice before getting up and picking up the phone,
Mhm.
before getting up and checking your emails, before turning the TV on, unless you're going to listen to a meditation. Get used to making it a habit that this needs to center yourself is the key.
Mhm.
Those that want to dive deep and they know I'm here with Morgan. I am diving into I am creating a platform for people that want to go into it, or have tapped into it more with energy, like coaches for healers and like yourself, Morgan,
Mhm.
and healers that that are looking to find their essence, because they I feel like there's a lot of us out there that are still one foot in
Mhm.
the in it and the other one in the 3D,
Mhm.
where they're like they get caught up in this world here versus being able to be here in their essence, but and being able to live in that planet, but without getting caught to being pulled back here.
Pulled in. Yeah.
And that's where I'm trying to get them back to, where you can be in your essence and all that and not get caught up and be in those gifts, so you can provide more and be more of service to those that are surrounding you.
So
So
I know that you were talking about that as you're doing business coaching for healers. So is that what that is?
yes, it's a platform I'm going to call about self-mastery, learning to find yourself. And then I'm going to start with the mind. In
Hmm.
there, I am still trying to figure out how I'm going to lay it out, but it's going to be more with the activation, uh, breath work, and going in with me as well. And it's going to be a membership where I want people, where I lock you in maybe 3 months with
Hmm.
me.
Hmm.
And then you, from there, you're gonna I don't think I was thinking of 6 months, but I said, nah, they're not beginners. This is for advanced. 3 months is key. With those 3 months, you guys can then set off, and I'll do them in waves like that, of 3 months at a time, where people can then get all the resources. I'm gonna do activations where you guys can do it like a Kriya yoga, in a sense, like in a way where it's going to be a meditation that you
Hmm.
do, that can anchor it into the point where now you could do this almost like tying your shoes without looking, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
natural. And
You're
it's like
getting,
you don't think about it. You could be talking to me and you're like, okay, I got this. It's
yeah.
that kind of like where now you've learned to have that self-mastery within your own gifts, honing them. And everybody's in different levels. It's a place where you can meet together with other healers and coaches and can talk to each other in a way that you can speak the same language,
Hmm.
own gifts, and not feel so odd. It's like, it's sometimes even for me, I've always felt like, oh, you do know I'm way out there. So it's like,
I
how do
mean, I don't think you're way out there, but I also am a part of the same process that you are and have the same belief system and the same understanding and the same lifestyle. And so it's not odd to me at all. I think that it can be odd just to the new age commonality of the United States. But if we really go back in history, this is a story as old as
and
time. I mean, this
all
is not
that's
new.
my soul is old.
Yeah.
I come way from the beginning of time. So
Yeah.
I've
Well, there's
woven
no
my,
such thing as time.
no, and exactly. Time
Yeah.
only here. We created time.
Right.
But I know I'm an old soul that has come with the same medicine. When I come in to awaken. So
Mhm.
I'm one here to really awaken each individual in their essence. I'm here to guide. And so now it's just like what I'm trying to create is a page just for those that are ready,
Yeah.
that
So
I
it's
don't have to explain. They understand, they feel it. Let's ready, let's go. And then you're off to your own, in your own world, doing what you're, because for me, it's awakening all the healers that are here, but that way the planet vibrates higher. The more we can do this, the more we can bring all these beautiful souls together that have all these gifts, the more we heal the planet. The more we heal our divine mother, the more we rise. When we bring ourselves with ego, competition, and I'm better than yours, that kind of, I don't want that. I don't care for that, you know?
this is telling me you just raised your hand. Did you raise your hand?
Yes, I got excited. Looks like you're talking. Okay.
Um, so Desiree asked, nutrition is also a most valuable contributor to facilitating the body to clear the channel, as we know. And so will you be incorporating your phased plan to help the system clear out bloat, etc.?
Yes, yes, I do have a nutrition, because the thing for me, it's not, as I said to you before, mine is also because I have Ayurvedic and also the herbalist. I combine those into the specific kind of what we call, think of it like a dieta, a
Mm-hmm.
cleansing. And I
Mm-hmm.
cleanse the body in a way, and I made it in a way that it's very seasonal. So for the average Joe, I've created one for, and I've done it in a user-friendly modern way.
Mm-hmm.
So it is for seasonal cleansing. So it doesn't matter where you live in the planet, and you get to eat. And it's a dietary way of eating that you can follow through. It's a course that I guide you through it so where you can follow through after. And that allows you to go into a reset. So it allows you to not only detox all the garbage and all the stuff we have, but then at the same time, you get to a point where the next phase of it allows you to lose the excess weight that needs to. And then the third one is about rebalancing the hormones. And it goes well as well as for men and women. So
Okay.
there's no, of course, more women are drawn to this kind of lifestyle, but
Sure.
there are a lot of men. And I've done this with my guy, and I've kept it in a way that it aligns in a way that there's a pH broth soup I carry that if you don't want to follow everything else, but there's recipes that follow through that. So yes, I'm a key believer. I follow it. I live the lifestyle.
Yeah.
And the reason why it's key is because as we tap, if you're like myself that tap into energies and I hone in, I tap into the Akashic, I can go into, I'm a healer, I work with energies. You need to be clean.
Yeah.
You can't drink.
Mm-hmm.
All that doesn't, it's like your body just can't. The more, if I ever try, when I try, I have to make sure I drink lots of water, detox it out because I can't function.
Right.
And now, as I gotten even more and more evolved, what's happened is my body reacts if I do have a drink.
Yeah.
I break out, or I get a discomfort in the body. So and it's happening even to my guy. With
Yeah.
he,
I've noticed that as well.
my guy used to be into, I remember him, he was a heavy drinker. He can't drink like that anymore. And now
Right.
his body's reacting to all these little things. I said, welcome to my world. So, and you've noticed him. I think
Yeah.
was it you? Who was
Yeah.
it? Someone that said to him, I can't believe you turned him
I
into a
said
yogi.
that.
It was
I
you.
just been into a yogi when I went to your last new moon. I think it was the new moon ceremony.
That's right. Yeah. He
Yeah.
completely, and
And
now
he
he
was
has a
staging
spiritual
me.
name.
I'm like, look at him.
Yeah. And he even gave
I
himself a
love that.
spirit. He had a ceremony not too long ago, and a download came down where he found his spiritual name, and it's
Oh,
an Aztec name.
wow.
Yeah,
That's,
Tunatu, Tunatu. And I was like, wow, that's beautiful. And it
yeah.
resonated with me. I felt it. I was like, that's it. And he
Yeah.
just started making music. I was like, wow. And it's like resonating with him. I was like,
I love it.
he did one of those like he flipped upside. It's like he just flipped what was upside down when now upright. And it's like he's on this course. I was like,
Oh, I love that.
yes, it's amazing. It's amazing. And once and now he's like on this direct course of like manifesting things and happening. And I said, okay, I read him this morning, the tarot. Okay, this is what's coming. He's like, okay. And he's like, I get it. In the past, he'd be like, uh-huh.
Right? It
But
makes
now,
it so much easier to move through life when you have the purpose and you have the faith and you have the trust and you have the understanding because you're not resisting, you're not upset, you're not angry, you don't think you can change it, you're not trying to control it anymore.
yeah,
You're like,
exactly.
okay, this
You
is
just
this is
listen
what we're doing. So let's follow and I'll listen to the signs and I'll look for the opportunities. Like you just have to let the universe guide you and trust.
and let it guide your soul.
Yeah, feel
It's
good.
your soul that needs to speak to you. It's your soul that tells you what needs. It's that you really need to hone in.
Yes.
And from there, allow it to speak to you and go from there. And that's where the daily meditations,
Mm-hmm.
listening to those, to doing a breath work and just going in for 5 minutes. Even at the beginning, you're not going to get anything. Most people will be like,
What was that? Yeah. My husband falls asleep.
but I mean, I always say I started with my guy with guided meditations from Reiki Rachel, which I love. She's
hmm
good
hmm
because I can't guide my guy for every little thing. So I said,
Right.
okay, let's listen to this. This is how I got him started. Let's listen to, and until we found the one person that he liked the
hmm
meditations with, so we
hmm
stuck with that person. And that's when I got him into weaving him in the day, and the night in the mornings I would go, okay, let's listen to this one for breath work. And
Mm-hmm.
that's how he got into the breath work. And it got to a pattern. It's giving him into those kriyas, those practices.
Yeah.
It got into it, and now he's good. I'll wake up and I'm like, come on, let's do the breath work. Okay.
Like, yeah, let's do it. He's like, I'm already 10 steps ahead of you.
Yeah.
If you don't mind, I think everybody would love if you would post a link to those guided meditations with the breath work that you're talking about,
Okay.
because I'm sure a lot of people would definitely be interested in listening and trying it for sure.
Sure.
That's what we want, right? We
You
want
guys,
people to,
you guys are gonna make me go into technology. Okay.
yes, yes, no resistance. You can't
Yeah.
pick and choose what you're going to resist.
Listen, I said to myself, listen, I knew a long time ago because I could see also a lot of the future. I saw this a long time ago that I would have to be in front of everybody. But this is what has been my biggest resistance, being in front of
The
the
camera.
public. And I think you've known me quite some time now that you saw where I was before, where I
Mhm.
am now.
Yeah, for
I'm
sure.
making a lot of
We just
changes.
need to see you more. I'm like, there's no videos. Like, you still don't get in front of the camera. We need to see you more.
Well, I think I like to speak to people versus to be speaking on a camera by myself. It's like
I totally get that.
it
It's
defeats
more
my
fun.
purpose because I feel like I don't like to talk to myself. I don't.
I know, you feel like you're talking to yourself. I get that.
I
I get
and then it's like you don't have, at least I know what I'm talking with when I'm having a conversation with you. I'm seeing, I'm feeling your energy. I know where we're at, and I can go with that. Whereas when you talk to yourself and you pick up the phone and you're like, you don't know who you're talking to. And
So are we
sometimes
ever gonna
nobody,
see you? Are we gonna ever see you do it?
well, sometimes the thing what bothers me is that no one pops up. Of course, I'm not out there, but no one pops up. So it's like, how do I know what I'm talking about, what they like? Yeah.
You gotta start somehow, right?
All right. I'll try.
Desiree is asking, so this kind of ties into we want to see more of you. What's the best way for the community to connect with you for their Akashic readings, Maya fascia release, yoga therapy, breath work, your gong sound healing? And I am just going to plug in right now that Ingrid is doing a live rest and restore workshop for our community this Saturday at 12 o'clock. So
Yes.
we do have, that's the only thing I can say about it, but we are excited for that on Saturday.
Thank
So you
you.
can
Thank you.
take the rest of it.
Yes. Okay. Yes. KamalaIngridWellness.com is my website at the moment where I have everything under events. If you go when you look for that, click on events. Events will show you the for those that are coming to my sound baths here,
Mhm.
local, that'll tell you everything. But if you go under, I want to say, I can't remember, but there's one where it says everything, all the things that I have.
On your
Um,
website?
yeah, on my website, I'm trying to figure out what it's called. Special services, sorry, services. Yeah, because I just changed my website. I just designed it. So it's like, what did I put?
Where did you put it? Yeah. Okay. But
Yeah,
your website is Ingrid.
Kamala Ingrid
Okay.
Wellness.com. So
Kamala
yeah,
Wellness. And that's
yeah.
your name in the community too.
No, it's just Kamala Ingrid. In
It's
the
Kamala's.
no, it's just no. It used to be Kamala Ingrid Yoga, and I took yoga out, put wellness because I think
Okay.
it ties everything that I'm doing now versus just the yoga. So I took that
And
out.
all of your social links are also in
Kamala
the
Ingrid.
community, right? So it
Uh,
within our community house, we have access to all of you.
yes, yes,
Okay.
yes. So, but if for those that want to find out more, even retreats that are coming up, the retreats are really going to be about a reset of you going diving into it, where you're going to go through sound, breath, movement with me, kriyas, that are going to guide you into meditation, energy healing, activation. And it's not going to be your typical yoga. I mean, for those that do know me, they know I'm very odd and different, but I'm here to create a impact in your life. And I have been very blessed and grateful that everybody that has come into my path has achieved that.
Mhm.
And I have still, to this day, those that started with me many years ago are still with me today. um, if they haven't moved, you know,
Yeah.
a lot of them that are still in that path of awakening, have awakened, are still with me.
Mhm.
Um, the ones that fall out are, I guess, like I said, besides moving, they're still with me via phone, but for the most part, like I said, those that are ready to rise, those are all with me still to
Yeah.
this day. So I'm very
Are we
blessed.
ever gonna get are you ever going to do online retreat type things? And I know it wouldn't be exactly the same because I've been to some of your retreats and I know there is a personal touch, but what about the people that aren't here? How can
I
they?
I would probably do that. I'm not there yet. I want to make sure I get the personal ones first before I can move into that direction. I don't want to, but yes, that will be something. How? Don't ask me that yet. I
Okay,
don't
okay.
know.
So maybe in the future.
In the future, for sure. In the near future, I would say once the retreats kind of get their flow of going forward, yes, because I want to do retreats also, not just local, but my goal is to tap into different vortexes around the US
Mhm,
that we can move energy and work with. Unfortunately, Siesta Beach just went through the hurricane recently. Hopefully everything's okay, but that's one of the vortexes in there that
mhm,
I loved and felt very much when I was there.
mhm.
But that's my goal is to move around different areas, but I definitely have one in the making in Naples
Okay.
coming pretty soon
Oh,
for a
you told me
3 day.
about that.
Yeah,
Okay.
that one's coming up, and that one is going to be Ayurvedic. So you're going to have a cleanse of that. Ayurvedic, sound healing, energy healing, breath work, and energy activation. A lot of that coming in those 3 days, and it's a workshop at the same time on a Saturday.
Mhm,
And so it's in the making. We haven't decided what day yet, but it's sometime into November, early or maybe into early part of December. So we're yet in that place, figuring that out.
okay.
But
So Desiree is asking if you and I can share more about your connection with Women's World of Wellness, and or maybe my connection. I don't know whose connection, both of ours maybe, so we know more about our collaboration. So on my end, I'll just answer my side of it. I am a certified master wellness and life coach, certified holistic nutritionist, certified personal trainer, and the founder of Women's World of Wellness. And the purpose of Women's World of Wellness was to bring a community out for all women to be able to have access to all things wellness related. So none of us are an expert at everything. And wellness is such a broad scope and a huge umbrella of so many things that I wanted a platform that I could bring other wellness experts in that specialize in things outside of my scope. And I've worked with Ingrid. I've known Ingrid about since I moved to Florida. I met Ingrid. And so it's been about 3 years now. And I have worked with Ingrid. I've had Ingrid work on me. I've been with her for a long time. I think she's amazing. And I knew that she would bring something super special to the community and to the group that is hard to find. It's hard to find out there. So I asked Ingrid if she would be interested in collaborating with us in this community and bringing her amazing energy. And so here we are. And Saturday is your first workshop. So now you can kind of chime in on the collaboration and what you're thinking.
well, I'm honored, first of all, and it was also a sign from the universe pushing me forward to what I was planning to do on my own. So when you offered it, I was like, oh wow, that's the universe saying, go for it. It's time. So I basically I love it because it's all about what I'd like doing. And it's also about bringing on a lot of people, helping them heal in the holistic way and going into the root situation. The fact that we have two other beautiful, beautiful women also on board in
Mhm.
your community with their
Our
expertise.
community,
Yeah, our community.
our community.
And it's just beautiful. I just think it is awesome because then it's so well rounded,
Mhm.
and everyone has their own take
Niche.
and niche, and it's beautiful. So I think it's amazing. And again, for me, it's just moving it into like already those awakened that are ready to be in that space of really learning to tweak whatever needs to be tweaked.
Yeah.
I can help you in and guide you into that space. Because me personally, even though I've had to go through it on my own, which again, that was my lesson, that was how I wrote my life. But I want to be that mentor for those that could feel safe, have that safe container to be able to express and do what they need to do without feeling the competition, the
Right.
negativity that just all it does is damper that light. It's about really making your light shine and among other beautiful souls. And
Isn't
so
that funny? And I just changed our thing. It says "Together we shine" in our
I love
community.
it.
Did you notice that?
No, no, I didn't notice that.
I changed the
I
banner on
love.
it. And it
Oh, well,
says
I gotta say, you and I are very like. I find it like, oh, I got this chill when I saw your logo, and I said, you saw, you haven't seen mine, but it was very similar to
"Is
yours, and I
it?"
was like, yeah. So I said, wow, we are in the same. We have that little half moon, and I was like, oh, we're vibing the same thing. I was like, because I have to send it to you. I was like, oh, wow.
Yeah, I
And then
love
I'm doing a Spanish community too for the Latinas,
it.
um,
Okay.
where I bring in my Akashic troupe from the Spanish community in Argentina. So they're basically going to join me on a podcast. And we're going to try, so they're going to help me with the Spanish part of it because I'm good, but I'm not that good when it comes to talking. So I want them to bring that podcast and do the same thing that I'm doing now here in the America with the English. They're
Mhm.
gonna bring it to me with the Hispanic version. So
I
and
love that. That's amazing.
so yeah, I want it to be where it can reach out and as well help them because they are such beautiful, beautiful, beautiful souls and so gifted as well that I just wanna show them off too. So,
Yeah, right. We want to help everybody who has the same mission and the same goal and just create this amazing world where people can feel supported and
oh yeah.
comfortable and safe and loved and trust,
Yes.
no judgment,
No judgment.
there's nothing you can say that anybody's gonna be like, oh my gosh, like it's just a safe space and it's just all about all things wellness. And
Yeah.
healing is such an integral part, especially for people who struggle. They don't realize so many of their struggles are so deep rooted into traumas. And so if you really want to thrive in life, you're going to have to go there and we're going to have to deal with it. And that's how you move forward and that's how you break the patterns and that's how you grow. And that's an integral part of wellness. And people sometimes think of wellness as weight loss or, working out. And that is like a little piece of the pie. And it's
But
also why when I wanted to rebrand, I was like, I got to get away from fitness entirely because it's all people think about. So I
yes.
had to do something completely different. And that's really how Women's World Wellness was born because I wanted to pull away from that because it's really just a little part of it.
Peace. Yes.
And it's different for everybody. So really understanding that getting to the root and healing is going to help relieve your anxiety. It's going to relieve your stress. It's like all these things that people deal with every day and they're taking medication for. And it's like, let's try a new route, which is really an
Absolutely.
old route.
Well, transformation also begins with by aligning the body, the mind, and your soul.
Oh,
You know,
mhm.
so it's like, and when you learn to go into the root, you can annihilate all those medications. Because here, the one thing I've realized, especially here with big pharma, it's all about keeping the people down, keeping the people sick, keeping the
Right.
people like, oh, no, 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 come on. This is where nutrition comes in. People like you as well that teach people how to eat as well. For me, it's just cleansing the body, ridding it from all those toxins and just teaching you, okay, here's your basics, you know, but
Yeah.
learn to follow and when we clean ourselves from all that, you realize that food tastes better.
What's that?
Food tastes better,
Oh my gosh.
right?
That's what I say when I do my juicing and like, oh, it's green. I'm like, okay, first of all, we need to grow up a little bit. And second of all, you weren't born craving soda. Your
Ex-
taste buds acclimated to it. And if you stop it, and then we go into just one or two, you will find yourself craving it. Your taste buds can change. And people are so like, about, oh, that's the healthy food. Like it's a bad thing. And in my mind, what I'm thinking when people say that is like, it's crazy to me.
Listen, I remember my daughter would bring her friends over, and I had the juicer at the time. I remember just juicing, and Talia, I always gave it to her with a little apple to sweeten it up, and I would just add something to sweeten it up. So it
Mhm.
would be an apple if it was green.
Mhm.
And I would give it to her, and she would drink it. And then her friends were like, I go, well, if you want to hang out with Talia, you have to drink the juice. If you don't, then you can't come here. Because my house had nothing. I was not, uh, there was no junk in the nothing, nothing. Because
No,
I remember all her birthdays, the moms would come over and they're like, "Do you have soda? Do you have?"
no.
No. And they would get, what did they get? One of those little bars and and they're like, "That's what you're
Yeah.
giving?" I said,
Right.
"Yeah."
I
But the
was
kids,
that mom.
but the kids loved it. And they were like, I said, "Well, you teach them." I got one mom one time text me. She goes, "You have my daughter finally eating vegetables. How did you do that?" I said, "Because she could not hang out with Talia if she wanted to. I am not going to feed her or go out of my way and go get her McDonald's. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
that's me. They either eat what I feed them, or they don't come back." And they
Well, they
always
actually
stayed.
like it.
They actually liked it. And I had one that just to this day, her name Elisa. She would just be like, "Thank you." She called me mom. Yes, mom, thanks.
Hmm.
To this day, she still juices, and she's that was probably one of her BS friends when she was in her elementary school. And I got her into that to this day. I think the text her I saw her on Instagram and I realized, wow, are you still juicing? She goes, yes.
She learned from you. I was the same kind of mom, and we had no, so my kid's soda was Pellegrino with fresh squeezed lemon and lime and minerals. They didn't know any different. That's what they like. But what they did really notice is when they would go to their friends' houses, because they would give me such a hard time. And now they're adults and they're in their 20s, and my daughter's raising babies, and they're just the same. And they know the food, they know the ingredients. So now they're trying to teach their significant others that it's not good for you. And their whole lives growing up, they would go to their friend's house and be like, oh my gosh, they had so much soda and crap in their cupboards. But I was always home and we always cooked.
Yeah.
I made snacks when they got home from school and their friends loved it. They're like, our mom doesn't do this when we come home.
Listen, Talia didn't go anywhere. She always wanted to have her friends come over because she goes, I can't stand their food. So she would be like, always have all her friends would come over here. I go, well, God, I'm gonna have to have like a a jar for the parents to just give me the because I would have all the kids in my house all the time.
Yeah.
It
You're
was
like, I
like,
need a little money. Pitch
hello, some
in.
donation here.
So we have Alicia. And
Oh,
she said, this was very insightful and amazing experience to listen to. I'm excited to see more with your collaborations and how it assists with my continued elevation. So
awesome.
thank you, Alicia. We appreciate you being on and listening. And we definitely will have more to come. I really
Yes,
enjoyed our conversation.
me too,
And
me
I
too.
think we got a lot out of it. And I love the participation from our guests on. So thank you, everybody, for being here. So, Ingrid, you have this Saturday coming up.
Yes.
12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. For any of you on the West Coast, 9 a.m. Saturday morning is an easy yoga class for you. Or not yoga class, it's a reset and restore. So is
Yeah,
it yoga or what exactly?
it's for beginners, for everybody. So
Okay.
it's basically, I didn't want to exclude everybody out. So it's more like yeah, it's a reset, restore because it's the weekend. And
Mhm.
so for those that are going out, they can wake up and roll out of the mat, those on the east,
The
in the
West
Cal,
Coast.
in the West Coast, they can roll out and just get into it. And then those that are, it's lunchtime. So let's just take it easy.
Perfect. And then you also posted in the community that you have is it an event? Is it what on the 25th? Don't you have a ceremony on the 25th? The new moon, don't you? Come on.
Oh, you're talking about for the sound bath.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a sound bath. Yes, yes. I was like, which ceremony are we talking about? I do have a few, but which one are you talking about?
Yeah, so it's
Yeah,
next Friday if you're
yes,
local.
The local one, yes, I do have one at Implantation on the tool. Let me look at my calendar.
It's the 25th.
The 25th in Plantation, and in Davie, I have one that's in a personal house. So if those that do want to go to more of a quieter personal one, it's in a house, but it fits 10 people. That one they have to DM me personally, say that's on a Thursday. And then the one that's on the 25th is anybody can go there, you know. So that one is pretty good. Fits a lot. So,
Awesome.
and
And you
it's in
posted
Plantation.
that in the community, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
I
I'm
saw
pretty
that
sure.
posted.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I
So if
did.
anybody watching has not joined the community and you keep hearing the community, we do have a community page, grow.wwowellness.com. That is where we upload all of our interviews, all of our workshops. We've already had a couple of workshops. I did a self-discovery workshop a couple weeks ago. Laura did a nutrition workshop last week.
Yeah.
We have Ingrid this week, and we have Marcy coming up on the 30th. She's going to be doing an evening time, kind of connect to yourself, another mind body, but in a different way, a little more with different practices and things. So we have a lot coming up. We have some guest speakers coming up. We have transformation speakers, and we welcome anybody in the wellness field who has anything that we can add value to our community. We are open. We will have a place. We have a calendar link specifically for anybody that wants to come on that we can send, and there's some questions, and then we can connect. So we want more wellness experts. We want more information of all different areas. We're super excited to keep growing and to keep expanding the community and what value we can bring to everybody out there.
I love it.
Davey, which one is in the house? 1025 Davey, which one is in the house? Desiree asked.
The house, oh, the one that's in Davie, it is by Kathy. She is a beautiful, also crystal and prana healer. And it's at her place. I can put more directions onto that one in the community page.
Okay,
So if people that want to, that one for sure has to be a reservation only. And
okay,
the other one, reservations, but just letting me know so I know because I am doing it with cacao. And
okay.
also,
I
so
love
I
your cacao.
thank
So
you.
good. It's
Yeah, different.
homemade. I could sit there and just eat it all day long.
I don't think they know what kind of way I do it. So if you
Don't tell them.
Uh, it's actually I make them in hearts. I make them as a chocolate. I bring the cacao together, and I actually decided to do it that way because I feel like I wanted something to sweeten the cacao in a way that you can resonate. And then I bring the Boviswana, which is a type of heart opener, and I mix it with the blue lotus, and I do my own little concoction there. So it brings the essence of um, of community togetherness and coming back to the self when we get into our circle. And so I need a count because of that.
Yeah. Okay.
So for sure, those that are attending, I do need a count so I know how many I'm bringing because if not, then
You might
I,
not get
you know,
any.
you might not get any. So
And you definitely want some because both are amazing. I've had them both and I could sip and munch on all day if I had access to it all day.
yeah,
So, all
just
right.
don't
Well,
tell Miguel. Don't tell Miguel because Miguel's like, "Go take them all." I'm like, "No."
oh,
He gives them away. He's like, go ahead, because he doesn't want to meet him. Otherwise, he'll eat them all the time.
see, I would too. If I had them in the house every day, I'd be munching on those. They're delicious.
Oh, thank
Okay,
you.
so
Thank you.
all right. Well, thank you so much, Ingrid. I'm really glad we got to do this, and we will do it again. And we look
Thank
forward to
you.
seeing everybody in the community, Women's World of Wellness. We're also on Facebook, Women's World of Wellness. We have a Facebook group, and we are on Instagram, Women's World of Wellness. That's what we are. Instagram, we're
Beautiful.
WWO Wellness. So we hope to see you guys all there. And thanks again.
Thank you.
Have a good day.